Gang, welcome to another level up. Today we're going to talk about how to grow a six-figure business without burning out. Now, this is something you've done probably twice or three times, and it's something that we hear a lot with coaches who come to us and they say, "Oh, I feel burnt out. Like, how am I going to grow this and how am I going to do this?" Um, and just shut up. Realistically, like there's a few things we're going to touch out, but like I don't think people truly are burnt out. I think there's a few things, and we'll touch on them today. Things like boredom, things like lacking any sort of processes and stuff, and we'll go into detail with that. But yeah, I think it's too easy to kind of when things are a little bit, I don't even want to say overwhelmed, just maybe like a lot of things going that they go, oh, toys out the pram, I'm overwhelmed and burnt out, and it's like no, you're not, and these are a few things.
Yeah.
So
I think if you're a relatively new coach and you're basically scaling and you're trying to scale to six figures, I think that realistically you are going to have to expect at some level that you're going to burn out. Like it's going to be a very very normal thing. That feeling of like, oh my god, like I'm really like I'm shit in the bed basically. Like I'm scaling really quickly, and like if you're truly scaling, and I think that a lot of people get growth and scale very different, because realistically growth is basically you're growing, but scaling is like it's very quick. Like it's you can go from like pretty much like 5 to 20 in like a month or two. Like that's scaling. Growing is obviously it's slowly building, but like if you're growing to six figures, like if you're there, you can do a few things along the way to dissipate the feeling of being burnt out or feeling burnt out. But I don't think realistically you'll ever truly avoid all the symptoms of burning out. Um, and if you're going multi six figure, then you're definitely not. If you're going seven figure, you are definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay, let's dive into a couple of them. So something that we're shit hot on here,
Mm,
and it's been very, suppose, prevalent recently with a lot of the conversations we have with our coaches is managing time and
mm,
time management.
mhm,
Something that obviously Nat is very good with.
mhm.
Um,
Boss lady.
yeah, boss lady, our operations head of operations here, but is that essentially we all know that you got into this to help people and you got into it because you love fitness, you love the passion side of it. But I think coaches fall into the trap of it's almost a hobby type of feeling and they don't run it like a business. And like a business is obviously they have usually have a structure with like certain shifts, etc., time periods. And I think that it can get away from coaches where they kind of just wake up when they want, which is cool, it's your business, but as long as you can have the structure within the day to actually do what you need to do to grow the business.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird one because like a lot of, and I speak to online coaches all the time, and it's how like it's why I went into online coaching, right? I went into online fitness coaching because I really wanted to help people and I wanted to coach as many people as possible, and I didn't care about money basically, right? A lot of coaches that I we work with at TCT, like they don't actually care too much about the money. They just want to coach and they just want to help people. And then realistically, when you're looking at like I want to help 50 people, I'm at zero, I want to help 50 people, you quickly have to realize that there's a business side to it, right? And one of the biggest reasons that kind of like we didn't have noted on that on the stuff that we had pre to this or prior to this is that um, I don't think people like the business side. So I think when they get shoved into that business side in order to get the clients, I think that they then resent.
There's a
They,
friction
they,
to it.
yeah, because they like fitness coaching is a very different business to traditional like
Yeah,
businesses, and it's
brick and mortar and
yeah,
stuff.
so like a traditional like entrepreneur, right, is like do anything in the whole entire world to make money, right?
Hmm.
And that's basically the whole entire thing. Whereas as online fitness coaches, a lot of it is like I went to the gym, I go to the gym, and I want to help people get to where I am. And that's basically what it is, right? So you're kind of like shoved into an entrepreneurial mindset, if that makes sense, which is why a lot of coaches do feel a bit like it's a bit alien when you go into this like marketing and sales element, right? I personally find it very natural, just because I would deem myself very like business savvy, right? Business minded. And this is one of the reasons why we started TCT, because realistically I found out not even very quickly, but I found out when I was scaling and when I did scale my fitness business that I didn't actually like coaching people. I liked the business side of it. So like when fitness coaches they like coaching people, I did like coaching people, but not as much as like the building the business aspect, which is why we got a lot of questions like why did you start TCD, and that's basically it. Like I love building businesses. Yeah, well, I've always loved building businesses. I think that's a very entrepreneurial thing to do, right? To want to always like just build another business. Like I think about this all the time. I want to just build another business just because, but you know how stressful that is sometimes. Yeah, yeah. But I feel like one of the reasons why you might feel burnt out right now is because you feel a bit alien in the business sector, which is normal. But the thing you could do and the thing that you probably should do if you just love coaching is to hire people in the business. Which is funny because one of our points is to not hire people. But if you truly don't like setting, closing, you don't like video editing, you don't like copywriting, you don't like graphics, like there's people who can do that for you, and you can just go back to coaching. Now, will it hamper profit margins? Yes. But will you go back to the thing that you enjoy and probably you won't burn out? Yeah. So it's probably worth it. So that is probably number one.
Like, we're talking in context of when you're trying to scale. Like, you
Yeah.
can't, obviously, if you are at zero, you can't just go, well, I have no revenue and I need to go and get these people to do it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to crack on
You
with it.
have to suck it up and do it for a little while. But the point is that once you get to a certain point, and we do kind of have, like, we talk to our coaches, is like when they kind of start to hint at these things, like, oh, it's just, I just want to do this, I just want to coach, I don't want to have to do my email marketing. It's like, right, cool, let's have a little look into looking at getting you a copywriter in to do that side of things. um which then frees up that bandwidth for them to be like, oh, I don't have to worry about that. I can now onboard more clients, or I can give more to my clients, which is the part of it that I love. Um, but with that being said, is with the hiring and stuff like that, like what we just touched on there, where it's like kind of we said, hire, but then we're also saying don't, in the way of yeah, a bit of a weird one, but is that what tends to happen is you're focused on sort of trying to coach and run the business, but then you're also spending so much of your time trying to train people to do their job within your business. Because it's your business, you don't kind of want to like fully relinquish, and you want them to kind of do it your way. But then all that happens is, rather than you actually doing the job, you're just trying to train someone to do the job, which can be more frustrating at times than actually just doing the job itself.
Well, going it's like a kind of like a relation, right? When we basically said that a lot of coaches just want to coach, but then they're going into this business setting and then they go into management.
Hmm.
Like managing a team is fucking unbelievable. Like I still struggle to this day, which is one of the reasons why Nat's in the business now, because like Nat's very good at like she's a project manager by trade, and it's like she's very good at that side of things, and we wouldn't be able to do half this shit without Nat being in the business and building out all the processes and stuff like that. But also just like learning to communicate with humans. Um, I think it's a skill, and it's a skill that I really suck at. I'm trying to get better at it, but um, yeah, like when you're a new online fitness coach and you're trying to basically go from I just want to coach people, coaching a lot of people, don't have time, getting people into the business, and then managing. Why am I feeling burnt out? You got like four new skill sets that you have to learn. Yeah, yeah, literally, that's it. Like you are gonna feel you're gonna have feelings of being burnt out every single kind of like phase of business. Um, Obviously we're gonna try and dissipate it, right? Just a little bit, but I think it's perfectly normal to feel like.
So, like, we've kind of highlighted some of the things that we would like say, you don't want to kind of do. So obviously with the time management thing, is like, it is baffling the amount of coaches that don't have calendars or schedules, or like, if I say to them, like, when are you doing your check-ins, they go, oh, I just kind of do it ad hoc, type of thing. So that's one massive thing that I would say is, if you want to make sure that you are being as productive as possible, diarize the shit out of your day and make sure you stick to that and hold yourself accountable to that. So if you say, like, I know, because obviously we have a shared calendar, like, I know when you have calls, I know when you like, your hour blocks, well, it's actually more like 3 hour blocks of client check-ins. and stuff like that. So it's like, but there's no time when you're like, oh, I'm meant to be doing client check-ins now, but I'm gonna do this task or I'm gonna book a call in here. It's like, no, this is what I'm doing for this 3 hours, and that is the sole focus. The other stuff you will book around it.
Yeah, I literally was like when we were talking about that, I literally uh, made a tweet. Is that what you say? Wrote a thread. Yeah, you like yeah, which is about time, and I basically wrote that time is a tool you use to make money. If you learn how to manage your time, you'll make more money. Which is like I think that a lot of coaches they use time as this like um I think it's a mask for overwhelm. So like when coaches are overwhelmed, they're just like, I don't have any time, hands up.
Mhm.
But
It's the
realistic,
same like objection that they would hear from someone on a sales call where they go, "Oh, I don't know if I've got the time to get in shape." It's like you do.
yeah,
You're just thinking about all the other stuff that you
mm,
don't necessarily need to do or is on your plate, whereas you haven't laid it out in a way in which you can understand.
yeah. Well, realistically, like, what would you tell your fitness clients, right? Would you tell your fitness clients you have time, stop watching Netflix, blah, 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 and prioritize the gym. Um, it's like you have to do the same thing with your business. The the other aspect of it, the brutal, blunt aspect, it's like if you can't prioritize growing the business by spending a little like scheduling out time for certain tasks, you one don't deserve a big business, and two, you'll never ever get there. Like if you can't prioritize growing the business, it's not going to grow, and it just fundamentally won't. Because guess what happens when, let's just say, for example, a coach has 10 clients and they're basically saying, I have no time. Guess what's going to happen if you learn about marketing, sales, implement it, and you get to 50 clients? Guess what you have less of? Time. So if you suck at time management at 10 clients, you'll indefinitely suck at time management um, at 50.
What other than the time management side, um, like I would probably say, I think something which you've spoke about before and you've touched upon as well is kind of like chasing. If money's kind of always that sort of driving force, it kind of never feels like yeah, you'll feel unfulfilled. And I think when you have that feeling of overwhelm, unfulfillment, that's when that combination feels like overwhelm and feels like burnout then.
Like when you're trying to scale to like six figures, which is like 8,300 a month, whatever on average, right? Realistically, like nothing really happens past like six, like fundamentally to your life. There's no greater quality. Like you can buy most things, you got nice holidays and stuff like that. Obviously, like you don't have yachts and stuff like
Yeah.
that at that level, but fundamentally, like you can still have like a really nice life at like 6K a month, right? But like when you're trying to grow the business and like we're talking like multi six figure now, but realistically, if you're chasing money the whole time, let's just say for example you hit like a 20 grand month, right? Um, and you're just chasing money, you will not feel fulfilled because the next thing in your head is like, how can I hit 30 and 40 and 50? And I've been through every single revenue marker, and I have celebrated, well, like I celebrate every single revenue marker that we hit, even if it's a PB or whatever, whatever. And the reason for that is because money realistically is a tool that I use to reinvest back into the business. The deeper why into why I want to grow the business to eight figures. The reason for that is because I can provide for my family, I can retire people, I can do things in that regard. So my deeper why has always been I can use money as a tool versus like I need money to like buy a fucking Ferrari because well, I don't know. Yeah, why? Because I guess small Willie or finance a Rolex. Yes, yes. No, you can stab at Steve.
Um, okay, so other any other sort of reasons you feel like people have that sort of burnout other than the time management and
I think a lot of it is not prioritizing the business, not having a calendar, not knowing what tasks you have to run within your business, not having a breather from business. And that basically means like
I think is like because of this like hustle culture that is like created. It's like you've got to work 16-hour days, blah blah blah. Like put your face in ice water in the morning, run sprints or whatever that guy does.
no
That is
shit
true.
on.
Yeah. Yeah. Is people think they're not allowed or they aren't worthy of even if it's like 2 days where like no phone or limited phone, I'll say, because let's be honest, is like like we all, me and you both always say like, yeah, no work phone after 6 p.m., 7 p.m., or try, but we check in. Like our own anxiety makes us kind of pick it up and just check everything's still going. The clients are well like catered for, all that type of stuff. And you as a coach should be doing the same sort of thing, but allowing yourself that reset. We always say this is when our brains are getting a bit foggy, bit muddled, like we've got a few things that we need to figure out and work out, is the best thing is to clear off, like go spend the weekend somewhere, really let like things settle. Once that like decompresses, you hit Monday and you're like boom, 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 boom. And I think it's almost like it's a little bit like an analogy that of like a deload, isn't it? And so it's like, you're accruing this progressive overload of business, if you like, and then you get to a point you're like a little bit of a deload, and then we can crack on. And I think that's a massive thing, and that's something that coaches don't give themselves enough of.
No, I think that you're going to go through periods of time and periods of your life where you are going to get really aggressive with like work hours, and you're going to have like limited time off and limited days off and stuff like that. And when we built Ascension, like that's probably the hardest I've ever worked and the longest I've ever worked. We've obviously built an absolute monster off the back of it, but it's like I knew for a fact that there wasn't going to be many like reset days and stuff like that. So I think acknowledging like I'm going to have to really grind to get to like six figures here. I think that's a good acknowledgement. And then also when you get to like certain points in business, then have a breakaway. Like if you feel like a little bit of like just can't get into the day or I can't get into the week, then that's the time to be like, you know what? I'm gonna go and do something. And one of the biggest things in the whole entire world, and it's something that we touch on a fair bit, is like even go for weekend breaks with your partner. Because understand like trying to grow a business by yourself to six figures is really tough. Doing so with your partner in the background nagging you while you're on the phone and nagging you why you can't, why you're working at the weekend and stuff like that, um that's even harder. Like that's really tough. Okay. So if you can have these like mini breaks away where you are like being with the partner, then it's going to support your goals. And one, you can have that like kind of like weekend breakaway, and then two, you can obviously address like relationship, which is very important. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So a couple of things there. Like, like number one, burnout's really normal. I think it's just a thing, right? Burnout will happen indefinitely. It will definitely happen if you go to multi six figures. It will definitely happen if you go to seven figures. I'm yet to find if it's multi seven figures, but I'm sure that's going to be a thing as well. Um, the things you can do to consider or to kind of like dissipate stress are weekend breaks or just breaks away. Having a supportive partner, like, that's it. Like having a partner that's actually supportive of your goal.
You are like single, is like having a support structure, whether family or
Family,
friends,
yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. One big thing, which I think this is something that we could have a whole nother sort of like podcast on, would be setting boundaries both for yourself but also for expectations of clients, etc.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to reply to your client at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday, like, hey, can I have this tomato? Can I eat this tomato? Like, if you set boundaries, like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that coaches think they need that 24/7 access, and realistically, if you give them that, then people will take the piss. I'll tell you that. Um, I actually had a conversation with one of my clients, Mark, this morning about like actually actively trying to reduce his kind of like yeah, response rate, and then but then also like when he responds is really clear and active. So like doing things like voice notes and stuff like that. So like let's just say for example you get that 10 o'clock text and you wait until the next day and you wait until like 9 a.m. You give a really detailed response. Technically, you're actually giving them a better service.
It's like there's none of this kind of mumbled, like kind of like, oh yeah, so what you could. It's like, right, I've seen what you've said. Here's what I want you to do: X, Y, and Z. Do this. I'll touch base with you on Wednesday or whatever it'll be, or
Yeah, and then but then also like if you limit your time, so you're like I'm only available for this amount of time, or you're kind of like not necessarily untouchable, but you're like oh like this person's replied, like Jack's replied. If you make your time scarce, people respect it more. Um, and also they value you more, right? So they've, oh shit, he's replied. Whereas if you're like back and forth and back and forth in, they will just keep doing the same thing. So if you want to feel less burnt out, make your time scarce.
So, quick recap. So, burnout is always going to happen. Um, so again, don't be like thinking you're doing something wrong with if burnout or you feel burnout. That's not necessarily the thing. That's just part of growing a business. Is that feeling is going to come. But a few ways you can mitigate that is things like work breaks. So it doesn't mean you have to fly across the world. Like, it could be like a break where you just go to like a spa or something for a weekend, or even just switch off and just go for like a few long walks or whatever on the weekend with a partner or friends. Setting boundaries. Um, what else do we go over then? So setting boundaries.
Making time less or more valuable.
Yeah, make your time more valuable by limiting and sort of like
Time
yeah,
management.
your time management. So you're basically going to say block out the time when you're going to do things and block out how you're going to do things. Make sure you're like holding yourself accountable to those times. And um yeah, just basically just kind of, I suppose, once you kind of start to see it's like when you're training is like when you're kind of doing over a deload, sorry, because you've got to that point. It's possibly like almost like kind of be like, right, okay, I've done a good 6 weeks of hard pushing here, like maybe I can look at putting in a bit of a work break at this point here. um and obviously here at TCT, we make sure that we fully support you in all this, so we can flag these types of things. So when you are feeling it, obviously we have our touch points, very high touch points here with TCT. Nothing is, everything is at a one-to-one level. Um, so if you need that sort of support, that guidance, then join TCT. The link will be in the description below.